So picture this. God appears in a burning bush, tells Moses to go rescue his people from Pharaoh, gives him miraculous signs, promises divine backing, and then, as Moses is on his way to obey, God shows up and tries to kill him. Wait, what? Yeah, that's real Bible verse. It happens in 3 sentences, and if you blink, you'll miss one of the weirdest, most theologically loaded, absolutely brilliant little moments in the entire Old Testament. This story is buried in Exodus chapter 4, starting in verse 24. Moses has just had the encounter at the burning bush. He's on his way back to Egypt. He's got his family, his staff that turns into a snake, and a divine commission from the mouth of God himself. And then, boom, out of nowhere, the text says, "At a lodging place on the way, the Lord met him and sought to put him to death." Exodus 4:24. Now pause. That verse comes with 0 setup and almost no explanation. It's just, hey, God's about to kill Moses anyway. And then suddenly, Zipporah, Moses' wife, grabs a flint knife, circumcises their son, touches Moses' feet with the bloody skin and says, "Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me." And that's it. That's the story. God backs off, everyone survives, roll credits. Okay, what just happened? This is one of those passages where commentators lose their minds because there are 3 huge questions baked in, and none of them have easy answers. Number 1, why did God want to kill Moses? Number 2, why did Zipporah's act stop it? And number 3, what in the world is a bridegroom of blood? Let's tackle them. Buckle up. The most likely reason that God wanted to kill Moses never circumcised his son. And in Genesis 17, God makes it crystal clear. Circumcision isn't optional. It's the sign of the covenant. If you're not circumcised, you're cut off from God's people. Moses, the deliverer of Israel, is walking around with a son who isn't in covenant. That's a big deal. You can't go demand obedience from Pharaoh when your own house is out of alignment. But here's where it gets even deeper. God doesn't smite Moses immediately. He confronts him in private, on the road, at night, at an inn. It's surgical, personal, like a parent saying, "I love you, but this cannot stand." But Moses doesn't fix it. You know who does? Zipporah, his wife, a Midianite woman, a foreigner, and she saves his life. Zipporah jumps in, takes a flint knife, and circumcises her son herself. That's intense, bloody, raw, unceremonial, and deeply personal. She touches the skin to Moses' feet, possibly a symbol of submission or substitution, and says, "You are a bridegroom of blood to me." This isn't some sweet poetic line. This is a woman who just had to perform an emergency surgery with a rock in the middle of a crisis. She's angry, confused, maybe disgusted, and definitely saving her husband's life in the process. So what does bridegroom of blood mean? Well, the Hebrew phrase is obscure. It shows up nowhere else in Scripture. But context clues suggest that it's Zipporah's way of saying, this marriage just got a blood price. There is a cost to being part of God's plan, and now I've paid it too. I'm here with you. She's had to step into the covenant, into the calling, into the mess. She's not just Moses' wife. She's now part of the bloodline of the mission. This whole story feels like a speed bump, but it's actually a spiritual checkpoint. It's God saying, before you go and lead my people, make sure your own house is in order. My covenant isn't symbolic. It's serious and personal and, yes, bloody. It also shows something we don't talk about enough. Sometimes the people closest to us, the ones behind the scenes, are the ones who save our lives. Zipporah wasn't on the mountain with the burning bush. She didn't get the signs and the wonders, but she knew what needed to be done. She had the courage to do what Moses didn't, and God honored that. This story is a reminder that God doesn't need perfect people. He needs willing ones. It's messy, it's awkward, it's uncomfortable, but it's honest. And it shows us that God is deadly serious about covenant, but also deeply merciful in how he keeps us inside of it. So yes, God did try to kill Moses, but not because he'd changed his mind, not because he's cruel, because he's holy, because calling without covenant is hollow, and because Moses' disobedience wasn't private anymore. It was going to affect millions. It was going to affect generations. It was going to affect the entirety of human history. If you're like me, you've read this story and gone, wait, what? And if you want more deep cuts like this, stories that get skipped in Sunday school but are loaded with theology, danger, drama, and unexpected beauty, then hit like, subscribe, and come back next time.